welcome to the track around protecting our planet, how we harness technology for environmental impact. Let me first introduce and recap a bit around some of the things you heard from your keynote discussion, your panel discussion, and some of the information that you saw. So how many here are well aware their organization is reporting on the Singapore Stock Exchange? Raise your hands. No? One? No? No one knows. Who is a public listed company? Maybe I'll phrase it that way. The US? Oh, yours is in the US, okay. Okay. Well, maybe you don't know, but as Alfie Lee, Managing Director for ASEAN Group, explained, corporate is talking about this and it's going to come down, and as our fellow IT people, we will be hit hardest. It'll be quite fun, so get excited. So what you may not know is those that are listed on the Singapore Stock Exchange in this year have to report on their Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions. Who knows what they are? Everyone has heard of Scope 1 and Scope 2 before? Yeah, a few nods? Good. Well, next year you actually have to also report on your Scope 3, which is very, very complex. So with that, I'll also touch on your carbon footprint and your carbon price. So who now knows around the carbon tax? Raise your hands. Oh no, they mentioned it so many times in the keynote. I hope you were listening. Okay, so what you may not know is the carbon tax was introduced in Singapore in 2019. Now, as of 2024, this is actually 5x'd in terms of the amount of tax your organization will pay based on the amount of emissions it's putting. Now, to put it into context, say you're an electronics or manufacturing organization here in Singapore. Now, you would emit on average up to about 500,000 tons in carbon emission. What that actually equates to as of this year is 12.5 million Singapore dollars. So that's a lot. So organizations are incentivized to not only help our planet through reducing their carbon emissions, but also for protecting their planet and protecting their business. Okay? So what we're going to show you here today is 3 different solutions that contribute together almost like a layered cake. So we have on the screen one, we will talk around the social digital twin and the insights that the human impact on the environment will do and how we can simulate that through a digital twin scenario with social elements. Second on the screen here, we will talk around a data intelligence platform, how you can consolidate and ingest data from all parts of your organization in different silos for effective data management, which transitions into our my fellow speakers, Jacob and Ryan, into talking around sustainable data management, right? Okay. So who here, raise your hands if you have heard of a digital twin before? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, there we go. We got some participation. Rock on. Okay. So we have a bit of info on digital twin. For those that don't know, digital twin essentially is a simulation of a physical environment in the virtual space. So it allows you to then make changes within your organization and simulate what the flow-on effects are. Now, I'll ask again. Who's heard of a social digital twin? No. Oh, one? Very good. Very good. So the social digital twin actually layers the traditional digital twin technology in the simulation, but then layers human and environmental behavior elements into it to then have a more variety of interaction and simulations on a multi-layer. So what this means is we're tying in machine learning and behavioral economics to understand what the potential flow-on effects are for our business ROI, our CO2 impact, efficiencies. Depending on what simulations and digital scenarios you want to do, you can achieve. Now let me look at a use case here in Singapore. Let's say you're a large logistics organization like Shopee or something like this, right? So now they're doing a lot of deliveries, right? Everyone's house. I'm sure I almost spend every night on there. It's honestly horrible for my bank account. However, what this means is that logistics organizations need to optimize their routes, not only to help efficiency gains and reducing the delivery times, but also this will reduce the amount of emissions that their delivery vehicles will be doing. Now, what I'm going to do is give you a whirlwind tour. We're going to fly in. There's some, I'm sure you would have seen some of the acting in the people process. I'm trying to be a better actor than them. I'm failing. But we're going into London, UK. So to talk on how we've applied the social digital twin into London is actually looking at the London Metro. So they had a problem of a lot of suburban commuters going from suburban areas to the city centre was starting to get quite excessive. And what that meant was their CO2 output was getting very high. So what they wanted to do was simulate a scenario where how could they incentivize people to use park and ride, where they would park their car at the suburban train station and then go all the way into the city centre. So we've applied that to then look at, well, how much do we need to charge to incentivize people to do the park and ride as opposed to how much it would cost to go all the way into the city centre. Now, you can see here there's a lot of little icons, and I know from the back it's probably a bit tough to see, but those dots are in different colors representing a car, train, bus, bicycle, and looking at what the digital scenario was from the current state, also then to if they applied different price points on what the change would be. Now, they achieved an optimum price point which allowed them to reduce 9% of the cars on the road that were coming from suburban areas to city centres on business workdays. And what it actually meant was it converted to 12.5% reduction in CO2 emissions because of that transport footprint being reduced. So that's just an example of where social digital twin, AI technology can help contribute to protecting the planet, but also protecting your bottom line within your organization. But all of this is completely irrelevant if you have poor data hygiene. So I'll ask, I know you're probably getting annoyed with me asking questions, but I will ask, who is happy with their organization's data hygiene? Oh, so many sad faces. I think I see a tear in the back as well. Oh, it's okay. I understand your challenge, it's okay. So all of this, again, if you're applying AI use cases, you need strong data hygiene, right? And so I'd like to introduce my next speaker, Jacob, who will then talk to how you can build a digital foundation to help make better data-driven decision-making and improve your data hygiene. Over to you, Jacob.
So to continue, the benefit of such a solution like a social digital twin is only achievable if you have good quality, good hygiene data, so that you can then effectively do your real-world simulations. So without a very good hygiene, as some of you might agree, we will run into inaccurate rehearsals or simulations, ineffective measures being implemented, which will then lead to a very poor return of your investment. So now, the key to unlock this lies within data and AI. So that, purple or pink box you are seeing, that's your magic box. Or those who are familiar with Doraemon, that's your Doraemon's pocket. So it has everything in it. So it unifies all your data workloads from ingestion to storage layer to processing to analytics. And it also incorporates the AI components to it, such as predictive AI, Gen AI, like your ChatGPT, Vision AI, etc. So the good news is that we have this Doraemon's box for you. So I'm happy that many of you are taking out your phone to take that photo of ours. So this Doraemon box is known as Fujitsu Data Intelligence Platform, coined as DI-PaaS. It's a cloud-based all-in-one platform that allows organizations like yours to make AI-powered decisions by integrating and analyzing vast amount of data in your landscape. So the premium version of this DI-PaaS is powered by Palantir, which then provide all the tailored AI use cases together with deeper customizations, allowing your organizations to make better sense of your data at the same time, solving very unique business challenges. As for the basic tier, we have the standard use cases that can be implemented quickly, running on Azure as well as AWS tenancies together with Databricks platform. So some of the benefit of such an adoption of this data intelligence platform, DI-PaaS, will be shortening of that lead time to do your sustainability reporting or analytics. Reduce dev effort with all the automated workflow we put together, all the pre-built AI use cases we have gathered. So last but not least, empowering your organization or leaders to make informed decisions that they can now better track and manage your carbon emissions. So this combination of speed, efficiency, as well as actionable insights only allow your leaders to accelerate that readiness towards sustainability. So however, to say that, in order to enjoy the full potential or benefit of having such a data intelligence platform, we cannot do away with a proper infrastructure. This is where we feel our partner like NetApp has a bigger role to play in terms of infrastructure. So now I will hand over this time to Ryan from NetApp, who will then touch on how intelligent infrastructure can help you to drive sustainability for AI. Ryan, please.
Thank you, Jacob. So for NetApp, for the past few years, we've been working with the major hyperscalers like AWS, Azure, and Google. And we are able to enable you to have, bring your data closer to energy efficient compute and GPUs. What do I mean? So if you have a lot of data on-premise, let's say hundreds of terabytes, and you want to run a project in AWS using SageMaker, do you copy the 100 terabytes over? No, right? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sustainability as well as cost effectiveness sense. What we can do now is we can cache that data. So your SageMaker will have full access to all the data that it needs from on-premise, and it will only copy those that it needs to read onto AWS. That is at the hybrid cloud layer. Now at the data classification layer, we offer you many different opportunities. Number one, how to optimize storage. We can help you identify stale data that has not been accessed for the past 6 months, for example. Then you can decide this stale data should still sit on the flash-based storage array, or should you move it off to a cheaper and more cost-effective storage array. In the second part, we can also look at non-business data. We can tell you whether a PDF is a job description, which may be required by HR, versus a resume, right? Which also may be required by HR. But the fact is, we can look into the file and we can categorize it for you. And some of these files may not be business related, and you may now have the opportunity of getting rid of them. And finally, we can look across your data estate to identify duplicate files. And we do this using a file hash, not just by the file name. So that those 3 copies of contracts that you have in 3 different filers by 3 different departments, you can think about, do we all need that 3 copies, or that 1 copy is sufficient? This tool also allows you to automate compliance. Besides identifying the type of files, it goes into the file, the content, and it can tell you whether there is personal information, like your last name and your first name, as well as sensitive personal information, like your identification number, your bank account numbers, and maybe even your religion, right? So all this makes it important for you to know whether that particular volume that you're going to cache for your SageMaker project that I talked about earlier on, does it contain any of this sensitive data? Does it breach any compliance? And because we can look into whether the file has sensitive data, we can also provide a matrix like this for you, where we can show you whether your files contain sensitive data and whether they are permissive. Permissive means this file is accessible by everyone in your organization. Or maybe worse still, this file is accessible by everyone, even those from the internet. And when hackers and ransomware infects one of our endpoints, they will go for all these files, right? So this is a quick way to know and identify security risks. So that's the data layer. At the infrastructure layer, across your NetApp appliances, we offer fact-based scoring on your sustainability score. We can give you projections on your energy usage, your carbon emission, and the power and cooling that you require. We can project them at weekly, quarterly, and even annually, so that you have an idea of how much carbon emissions you have for that year. And finally, we'll provide insights and guidance how you can improve this score. For example, if you have a NetApp off-flash array and you didn't turn on compression or compaction or deduplication, we will suggest that you do so that you can improve this. So I've talked about the hybrid cloud layer, the data layer, and then, of course, the infrastructure layer. Now let me pass back to Lane to close off the session.
So look, I appreciate everyone's time. So just to quickly summarize what you've seen today, we have the social digital twin and how you can leverage the digital rehearsals to identify opportunities within your organization to reduce the carbon emissions, as well as obviously increase profitability as a result of the reduced carbon tax. As well, then Jacob and Ryan walked through the digital foundation with a data intelligence platform where we can centralize all the data to make better data-driven decision makings for your organization to increase opportunities for profitability. And then lastly, how we optimize our storage for making sure that you only have the data that you need, which will then result in obviously less data storage requirements, less energy utilization for your data centers and your cloud, which will result in a reduced carbon footprint and cost savings. So with that, I hope it's been, I know it's been quick, but I hope it's been insightful and it helps relate back with what you've learned from the keynote, the panel discussion, and you can maybe take something away to your organization.